You know, one of the most powerful ways you'll know if a guy misses you is through the way his presence lingers, even when he's not there. And I don't mean in a dramatic movie-style way where he's constantly blowing up your phone or making grand declarations. I'm talking about the subtle, everyday things that tell you he's still trying to weave himself into your life, even from a distance. When a man truly misses you, he doesn't always say it out loud, but he'll show it by finding ways to remain present, to make sure you still feel connected to him. Think about it. When someone doesn't care, when they're not thinking about you, you feel that absence. The silence becomes heavy like a door that's been closed. But when a man misses you, that silence feels different. He breaks it in small ways, little nudges that remind you he's still there. It could be as simple as a text that doesn't really say much on the surface. Hey, how was your day? Or, saw this and thought of you. But underneath, what he's really saying is, I want to be a part of your world, even if I can't physically be there right now. And sometimes, it's not even about the messages. It's the way he'll leave reminders of himself in your life. Maybe he gave you a book he thought you'd like, or he left a hoodie at your place on purpose or by accident that suddenly becomes your go-to thing when he's not around. Those little traces of him are not random. They're ways of keeping a thread tied between the two of you, so that even when he's not next to you, you still feel his presence. Here's what's interesting. Men often struggle to articulate their emotions directly. They may not always say, I miss you. But pay attention to how they show up. If he's reaching out with small gestures, if he's checking in, if he's sending something funny he knows will make you smile, he's telling you without words that he's thinking of you. That's his version of saying, I wish I was there with you right now. Now, here's the part that's really important for you to understand. The more subtle his actions, the more intentional they are. Anyone can send a big romantic gesture once in a while, but consistency, the way he finds reasons to connect, however small, reveals what's truly going on inside. When a guy misses you, he'll make sure you don't feel forgotten. He'll create a sense of presence, even in absence, because he knows that matters more than a grand moment followed by silence. Let's be real for a second. You've probably had experiences where someone disappears when they're not with you. Out of sight, out of mind. And you can feel it. That's not someone who misses you. That's someone who is comfortable with letting the connection fade. But when a man genuinely cares, he won't allow that gap to grow. Even if he's busy, even if his life is full, he'll make sure there's a thread holding the two of you together. And notice, he doesn't do it in a way that screams neediness. That's another distinction. A man who truly misses you doesn't overwhelm you with constant calls and texts. Instead, he leaves just enough of himself for you to know you matter, for you to feel that he's still emotionally invested. He respects your space while quietly reminding you of his presence. That balance is what makes the difference between someone who just wants attention and someone who's actually connected to you. Or what I want you to really take from this is that his presence in absence is a choice. It's not accidental. It's not convenience. It's him saying, even when life pulls me in different directions, even when I can't be right there next to you, I want you to know you're on my mind. That's how you know it's real. Because he doesn't let the distance create doubt. He uses the distance to remind you that you're still close. So, when you're wondering if a man misses you, don't just listen for the words. Watch for the evidence. Look at the way he keeps himself tied into your day, the way he refuses to let the silence mean disconnection. That's how he tells you, without ever having to say it directly, that you still matter to him. And that's the first sign you'll see, his presence in absence. When a man misses you, one of the clearest ways you'll feel it is through the care he shows without ever making a big announcement about it. He won't sit you down and say, "I've been thinking about you nonstop." But instead, you'll notice it in the way he pays attention to the little things about you, the things most people wouldn't even pick up on. When someone's heart is with you, they begin to notice details about your moods, your habits, the way you go about your day, and they'll quietly adjust themselves around those details to show you that you matter. Let me give you an example. If he knows you've had a stressful day, he might not send a long, dramatic text about how much he cares. Instead, he might just drop you a simple message that says, "Don't worry about dinner tonight. I've got it." Or maybe he remembers that you like your coffee a certain way, and when you meet up, he shows up with exactly that. No questions asked. That's not an accident. That's him paying attention. That's him saying, "I see you. I'm listening. And even though I'm not declaring it out loud, I miss you enough to show you I care about the smallest parts of your life." And here's the truth: when a man misses you, he doesn't just think about the big picture. He thinks about the micro moments. He remembers the things you said in passing, the things you thought he wasn't really listening to. Maybe you once mentioned that a certain song always makes you feel better, and one day, out of nowhere, he sends you that song. That's him showing you that he's been tuned in, that his mind has been holding on to you even when you weren't around. It's not always about physical gifts or grand gestures. In fact, the most powerful expressions of missing someone are rarely grand at all. They're quiet. They're thoughtful. They're in the way he says, "Don't forget to bring a jacket tonight. It's going to get cold." Or the way he sends you a reminder about something you told him you had coming up. Like an interview or a big meeting. You don't have to ask him to care, he just does. That's how you know he's been carrying you with him. Now, I want to make something really clear here. This kind of silent care is not about obligation. It's not about someone doing things because they feel they have to. It's about choice. When he misses you, he chooses to notice. He chooses to act. He chooses to put in those little pieces of effort that show you, "Even though I can't always be next to you, I'm still with you in spirit." And this is where so many people get confused in relationships. We often think love is measured by the loudness of someone's words. But the truth is, the strongest kind of love, the kind that grows out of missing someone, is often expressed in the quietest ways, when he pays attention to your needs without you having to spell them out, when he anticipates the small things that make your life easier or brighter. That's when you know his heart is truly invested. Think about how you feel when someone remembers something about you that you didn't expect them to. Maybe you once told him your favorite snack, and weeks later he brings it over because he thought you might want it. It's not the snack that matters. It's what it represents. It tells you, "You're important enough that I don't just listen when you talk. I hold on to what you say because it matters to me." That's the essence of unspoken care. This is also why, when a man misses you, you'll notice him becoming more thoughtful about how he interacts with you. He doesn't want to waste the moments he does get with you, so he puts in the effort to make them count. Or maybe he plans something small that shows he's been thinking ahead, like taking you somewhere he knows you love, or bringing up something you mentioned months ago because he wants to show you he didn't forget. These are all signals of his silent care. And you'll notice another layer to it. When he misses you, he'll often prioritize your well-being even when it doesn't directly benefit him. He'll do the little things that make your life smoother, lighter, less stressful, simply because he wants you to feel cared for. That's not someone who's just filling time. That's someone whose mind and heart keep circling back to you. Here's the beautiful part about all of this. He's not doing it for recognition. He's not waiting for you to say, "Wow, thank you so much for noticing." Of course, appreciation feels good to him, but that's not the driver. He's doing it because missing you naturally makes him more attentive. He wants to stay connected to you in any way he can, and caring for you quietly is one of the most powerful ways to bridge that distance. So when you're trying to figure out if a man really misses you, don't only listen for the words. Look at how he behaves. Notice if he's paying attention to the details, if he's showing up in those small, thoughtful ways that don't scream for attention but still make you feel deeply valued. That's the true language of someone who misses you. Not loud declarations, but the soft, consistent care that makes you feel seen. And that's how you'll know his silence is filled with meaning. When a man misses you, one of the ways it reveals itself is through this quiet, protective energy he gives off. And I don't mean protective in some controlling or overbearing way. That's not what this is about. I'm talking about the subtle ways he shows he still feels connected to you, even when he's not right by your side. When someone truly misses you, their instinct is to make sure you're okay, to make sure you feel safe, supported, and cared for, even from a distance. It's almost like a natural reflex. Think about it. When someone matters to you, their well-being becomes important to you, whether you're physically there or not. If he misses you, you'll notice he checks in on things that might seem small, but they carry weight. He'll ask if you got home safely after a night out. He'll remind you to take care of yourself when you're stressed. He'll make sure that in some way you feel like he's got your back, even if he can't physically be there to do it himself. That's not just casual interest. That's him showing, I care about what happens to you because I feel the gap of not being there myself. And here's the things a man doesn't always say directly, I want to protect you. But the way he acts tells you everything. If he's reaching out when he knows you're going through something tough, if he's trying to lighten the load when he senses you're overwhelmed, that's his way of extending his presence into your life. It's him saying, I might not be next to you right now, but I want you to feel as though I am. There's also something deeply reassuring about this type of energy. When a man misses you, he often channels that longing into actions that make you feel steadier. He'll step in quietly to solve a problem you mentioned, or he'll be the person who reassures you when you're doubting yourself. You might not always connect it in the moment to him missing you, but the truth is, those actions are fueled by the absence he feels. Because missing you makes him more aware of the role he wants to play in your life. The role of someone who makes you feel safe and looked after. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean he suddenly takes over or tries to live your life for you. The healthiest form of protective energy isn't about control. It's about presence. It's about making you feel that, even when he's not around, you're not alone. That's an important distinction. If he's missing you in a real, meaningful way, what you'll notice is that he's there in ways that enhance your independence, not take it away. He respects your space while still finding ways to show that he's emotionally invested in your well-being. And often, it comes across in those little moments. that don't look dramatic to anyone else. He might text you after a long day just to ask how you're doing, not because he's making conversation, but because he genuinely wants to know. He might encourage you before something important, reminding you that you're capable, that you've got this. Or if you're sick, he's the one who suddenly makes sure you've got what you need, even if it's just checking in more often. These are not random acts, they're direct reflections of how much he feels the pull of your absence. Here's something interesting. When a man misses you, his protective energy can even show up in silence. Think about when you're talking to him about something that's bothering you, and he doesn't immediately try to solve it with a quick fix. Instead, he listens because he knows that's what you need most in that moment. That's still protective energy. It's the decision to hold space for you, to let you feel safe expressing yourself without judgment or interruption. Sometimes that kind of quiet protection is even more powerful than any action he could take. What makes this so compelling is that it often feels natural. He doesn't force it. He doesn't need credit for it. He just does it. Because missing you stirs something in him. It reminds him of the bond you share, and it pushes him to make sure you feel secure, valued, and cared for. You may not always hear it in his words, but you'll feel it in the way he looks out for you, the way he shows up when it matters most. And this is where it all ties back into how men express themselves. He might not always come out and say, "I miss you, and because of that, I want to protect you." But the truth is, that's exactly what's happening beneath the surface. His protective energy is his unspoken way of saying, "Even when you can't see me, I'm here with you. I'm thinking of you. I'm invested in your well-being." So when you're wondering whether a man misses you, don't just listen for the declarations. Pay attention to how he makes you feel. Notice if his actions leave you with a sense of safety, of reassurance, of knowing that you're not navigating life on your own. Because that's the quiet but powerful signal of a man who feels your absence deeply. His instinct to make sure you're okay, no matter what. And that's the protective energy that speaks louder than words ever could. When a man misses you, one of the ways it quietly shows up is through the consistency of his communication. Now, consistency doesn't mean he's glued to his phone, sending you 100 texts a day or calling every hour. It's not about intensity, it's about rhythm. It's about the fact that he makes sure you feel connected to him, even in the smallest ways, and he doesn't allow silence to stretch so long that you begin to wonder whether you matter. Here's the thing, when someone doesn't miss you, when you're not on their mind, you feel the inconsistency. You notice the gaps. The messages become sporadic, and suddenly you're left trying to guess where you stand. But when a man does miss you, the opposite happens. He creates a flow of contact that keeps the connection alive. Even if it's just a quick message to say, "Hope your day's going well," or sharing something random he came across that reminded him of you. What he's really doing is saying, "You're still in my world. I want you to feel me here, even if we're apart." And what's important to understand is that this consistency isn't about obligation. It's not him doing something because he feels he has to check a box. Because missing you makes him want to close that distance. It's natural for him to reach out because you're on his mind. When he maintains that rhythm, what he's really giving you is reassurance. Without needing to say the words, he's showing you that you haven't slipped to the back of his thoughts. Think about how powerful that is. We all know what it feels like to have someone disappear for a while and then suddenly pop back in. It creates uncertainty. But a man who misses you doesn't leave that space wide open for doubt. He doesn't give you the chance to question whether you're important. Instead, his communication has a steadiness to it. It might not always be long conversations, but it's regular. It's intentional. It's his way of saying, I'm still here. You're still part of my life. And now, I want to point something out here. Consistency in communication doesn't mean constant communication. There's a big difference. Someone who is needy or insecure will overwhelm you with messages, trying to fill the silence because they're afraid of losing you. That's not the same thing. When a man truly misses you, his communication respects your space, but it's consistent enough that you never doubt his interest. He's not trying to flood you with attention. He's trying to maintain connection. This might look like him sending you a good morning text most days, or checking in when he knows you've had something important going on. It could be as simple as him sending you a meme that he knows will make you laugh because it ties into an inside joke you share. It's not the scale of the effort that matters. It's the pattern. That rhythm of showing up is how he expresses his missing you without having to spell it out every time. There's also something comforting about the predictability of it. When a man misses you, his consistency builds trust. You begin to feel secure in the connection because you know he won't just vanish when he's busy. Even when life pulls him in different directions, he'll make sure to give you something, a text, a call, a message, because he doesn't want you to feel like you're drifting apart. That steadiness is a quiet but powerful declaration of how much you mean to him. And here's what's really fascinating. Even when his days are full, even when he's got work, stress, responsibilities, if he misses you, he'll find moments. Because that's what people do when they care. They create time. A quick 30-second message in the middle of a packed day tells you far more about his feelings than an elaborate conversation once every 2 weeks. Why? Because it shows you're part of his present, not just someone he comes back to when everything else slows down. Sometimes the consistency even reveals itself in the way he initiates. He doesn't wait for you to always start the conversation. He steps in, he reaches out, he creates the bridge. And that initiation, those moments where he chooses to connect first, are often the clearest signal that you're on his mind, that he's not content with the silence, that he wants you to feel his presence. So if you're trying to understand whether a man misses you, don't just look for the dramatic expressions. Pay attention to the rhythm of his communication. Does he make the effort to keep the thread between you alive? Does he show up consistently, not in overwhelming bursts, but in steady, reliable ways? Because that consistency isn't accidental. It's deliberate. It's his way of keeping you close, of saying, even when I'm not there with you, I want you to know you still matter to me. And that's why the consistency of his communication speaks volumes more than silence ever could. When a man misses you, one of the ways it shows, without him ever having to say it, is in the way his emotions begin to echo yours. It's almost like he's tuned into your frequency, and even if you're not physically together, he responds to the shifts in your mood, your energy, your life. This is one of the most powerful and subtle signs because it tells you he's not just thinking about himself. He's deeply connected to how you feel. And when someone misses you, that connection becomes even sharper. Think about it. If you've ever shared something with him that's bothering you, you might notice that he carries it with him. He doesn't just listen and move on. He follows up later. He might say, "How did that situation turn out?" Or, "I've been thinking about what you told me yesterday." That's emotional echo. It's his way of showing you that your feelings matter, that your experiences don't just disappear from his mind once the conversation ends. He feels that gap of not being there with you, so he bridges it by letting you know he's still walking through it alongside you, even from afar. This isn't about him being dramatic or overly emotional. In fact, most of the time, he won't even realize he's doing it. But when a man misses you, he starts paying closer attention. He remembers your worries, your hopes, the little things you said you were looking forward to. If you mentioned you had an important meeting coming up, he's the one who asks afterward how it went. If you told him you were nervous about seeing someone, he checks in later to make sure you're okay. These things might sound small, but they're actually huge because they mean he's carrying your world with him in his mind. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Missing you makes him sensitive to your energy. If he hears your voice and something sounds off, he'll pick up on it. If you send a message that's shorter than usual, he'll notice the difference. He may not always call it out directly, but his actions will show it. He'll dig a little deeper, ask if you're all right, or just offer support without you having to ask. That's not just attention, it's empathy. It's him mirroring your emotions because he's invested in how you're really doing, not just in having surface-level contact. You'll also see this emotional echo in the way he celebrates your highs. When a man misses you, he doesn't just care about being there when things are difficult. He wants to feel part of your joys too. If something goes well for you, you'll notice he's genuinely excited, almost as if it happened to him. He's not distant or detached, he's engaged. He wants to share in the moment because missing you heightens his desire to stay emotionally close. It's his way of saying, even though I can't be there physically, I still want to be present in spirit. And sometimes, it's about the way he respects your space while still letting you know he's there. When you're going through something and you need time to yourself, he doesn't push. But he'll leave a message, a reminder, something small that says, I'm here whenever you need me. That balance of giving you space while still showing he's emotionally connected is one of the clearest indicators that he's missing you, because it takes awareness to do that. It takes care. It takes tuning into what you really need rather than what he wants in the moment. Here's what's beautiful about this emotional echo doesn't rely on big declarations. It's not about him saying, I'm so connected to your feelings. It's about you noticing over time that he reflects your emotions back to you. That he doesn't dismiss them, that he doesn't forget them, that he honors them quietly by holding on to them and responding in ways that make you feel seen. And when a man misses you, he becomes even more likely to do this because he wants to reduce the distance between you. He wants you to feel that, even apart, he's still walking alongside you. And make no mistake, this is not something that can be faked over the long term. Anyone can pretend to care for a day or two. But when a man consistently remembers, consistently checks in, consistently reflects your emotions in the way he interacts with you, that's when you know it's real. That's when you know missing you isn't just a fleeting thought for him. It's a lived experience that drives him to stay emotionally engaged. So, when you're wondering whether he misses you, don't just look for the grand gestures. Look for the way he carries your feelings with him. Notice if he brings up things you told him before, if he checks in on the little details of your life, if he celebrates your wins with you and feels your lows enough to want to support you through them. Because that's the silent signal of a man who isn't just thinking about himself. He's thinking about you, feeling with you, and showing you in every small, consistent way that you still matter to him. And that's why emotional echoes are often louder than words. When a man misses you, the clearest way you'll feel it is not through what he says, but through the effort he makes. Effort is the real language of someone's longing because it shows up in time, in reliability, and in the sacrifices he's willing to make just to keep the connection alive. He may never sit you down and declare, "I miss you every second of the day." But you'll notice it in how he shows up, in how he makes choices that place you closer to the center of his life, even in the small and quiet ways. Think about it. Anyone can say they miss you. Words are easy. They're cheap, in fact, if they're not backed by action. But when a man truly feels your absence, he translates that feeling into things you can actually see and feel. He carves out time for you, even when he doesn't have much to spare. He follows through on the things he says he'll do, because keeping his word matters more when you're not right there. Missing you creates this pull inside him, and the way he answers it is with effort. Sometimes that effort looks like rearranging his schedule to make sure he gets to see you, even if just for a short time. Sometimes it's him staying up late to talk to you after a long day, when it would have been easier to go straight to sleep. Other times it's as simple as him remembering something you mentioned in passing and surprising you by acting on it. These aren't coincidences. They're the ways his missing you translates into action. It's him saying, "I don't just think about you, I'm willing to do something about it." And it doesn't have to be dramatic or flashy. In fact, most of the time it won't be. The real measure of effort is in consistency, in those repeated little moments where he shows that you are worth it. If he misses you, he's not content with just passively waiting until he sees you again. He looks for ways to bridge that gap. He makes sure you feel his presence through what he does, not just what he says. What's powerful about this is that effort always reveals priorities. You can tell exactly where someone's focus is by the energy they're willing to put in. If a man misses you, you won't have to chase him down or wonder if you're on his mind. His actions will answer that for you. The extra mile he goes, the adjustments he makes, the way he chooses to show up. Those are the signs that missing you is more than just a thought in his head. It's something that moves him to act. And effort isn't always about big romantic gestures. It's often about reliability. When he misses you, he'll make sure he's someone you can depend on, because he knows that trust is one of the strongest ways to stay connected. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he promises to be there, he's there. If he can't make something happen, he communicates instead of leaving you hanging. That's effort. That's him saying, even from a distance, I want you to feel secure in me. You'll also see it in the way he prioritizes time with you. Life is busy for everyone. Work, obligations, responsibilities all pile up. But when a man misses you, he makes the effort to create space for you anyway. He'll move things around. He'll show up when he could have made excuses. He'll find opportunities to connect, even if it means sacrificing convenience or comfort. And those sacrifices, however small, tell you a very big truth. He values you enough to put in the work. And here's what's really important. Effort doesn't just communicate missing you, it builds intimacy. Because every time he makes that extra step, every time he invests energy into showing up for you, he's reinforcing the connection you share. It tells you that you matter, that your relationship isn't an afterthought, that you're part of his daily decisions. Missing you inspires him to act in ways that deepen your trust and strengthen your bond. Now, contrast that with the alternative. When someone doesn't really miss you, their actions show it just as clearly. You'll see inconsistency. You'll hear excuses. You'll feel like you're always the one reaching out or putting in the work. That lack of effort is telling, because the truth is people always make time and space for what's important to them. If he misses you, you won't be left guessing. You'll feel his effort, even in the smallest details. And the beauty of effort is that it speaks louder than any grand words ever could. You don't have to question whether it's genuine, because it's visible, it's tangible. It's him taking the longing he feels in your absence and turning it into something real, something that makes you feel cared for, thought of, and prioritized. And when you see that effort consistently, you'll know without doubt that missing you isn't just in his head. It's in the way he lives. And that's why effort is the truest, loudest proof of his longing.